Traders, how you doing? And hope you're all well. Welcome to the A1 Trading channel, and this video is on the gold and silver outlook for the week ahead. So this is the second video in this new series. If you did watch the one last week, you'll find out that we actually predicted it quite well. So if you made money off that, make sure you hit that like button. If you are new to the channel and you enjoy this type of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bells to get notified when we upload a video. So let's take a look at gold. Now on this 4-hour chart, I did say last week when we were here to look for a potential pullback roughly around that 38.2 to 61.8 box for continuation of gold shorts. And we got a catalyst here, a big hammer bar, albeit it was on news, but it was an inclination once that 4-hour bar closed that gold potentially wanted to move to the downside. And that's what we've got. As a breakout, we broke out underneath this support zone. However, I don't particularly, from my personal point of trading, I don't like taking breakouts when we look a little bit extended moving past that level. We're in what looks to be a channel corrective, pulling back to roughly around that 20 period. We've got our morning star here on this 4-hour chart, indicating possible bearishness moving forward. Now, not only do we have this morning star, but we've got the morning star on increasing volume. So that's what I personally like to see. So if you have an evening star or a morning star, what ideally you'd like to see is increasing volume as that pattern progresses. It's okay if this middle bar has higher volume, but we certainly want more volume as the pattern progresses compared to this initial bar. And that's what we've got here. So it seems to be quite a nice pullback back to that 20, possibly indicating that this move to the downside is digested and we could be moving down. Certainly if it breaks and closes below this area, I think that would give you added confirmation that gold wants to fall. Now the DXY looks bullish, so the dollar looks quite bullish. That inverse correlation could mean that the path of least resistance is to the downside, with a stronger dollar correlating to a weaker gold. So in terms of trading wise, I think an entry on that confirmation close would make sense. You know, we have this push through, we have this complex corrective pullback, simple channel pullback, simple price action. Confirmation would be a break below there for taking gold to the downside. I would agree with that personal bias. We switch to the daily chart for our higher time frame confluence. We've got a break and close underneath this support area. So again, adds to that bearish sentiment. We are still underneath these moving averages. We're not massively extended. We're not climactic. And it looks good to the downside. So my bias for the week ahead would be to look for opportunities, whether it be right now, whether it be a break and close, to sell gold to the downside. Okay, and if we look at silver now, I did talk about last week a very nice Dow theory downtrend with silver. Now, very similar with gold, we've got a break and close underneath that support area. On these smaller time frames, it doesn't look as clean as gold to movement. On these smaller time frames, it does look okay, right? We've got our catalyst there for potential downward movement, but we've not got the reaction that gold has. However, it does still look very good to the downside. We're possibly retesting this ascending trend line before continuation to the downside. Now this chart isn't as nice as gold. I think price action isn't as nice, whereas last week silver looked a little bit better. Possibly we could be in for a potential cut with handle pattern for continuation to the downside. So we're looking for, if we do get a slight reload from this support zone, as we have got here, we've tagged the support zone secondly. If we don't break through these highs and we create a lower low into the support area and potentially another reload here for breaks to the downside on silver, that for me again would make sense. We're going with the trend. Remember, the trend is your friend. We are going, and the path of least resistance is to the downside. So in terms of trading, I would look for potential pullback entries to sell it, or I would look for confirmation of a break below and a break and close below this support area to take silver to the downside. And if we look at this daily chart, we're potentially getting some price acceptance below this old resistance, potentially becoming new support. So on this day here, we've got rejection, buyers trying to take control to take this above this resistance area. failing, possibly we're coming into a complex corrective roughly around that 20 to take silver again to the downside, to continue with that impulse correct, impulse correct, impulse correct, impulse, possibly in this corrective phase, impulse to the downside. Now, even though gold and silver are bearish, I wanted to give you a potential bullish scenario for them both. Maybe that resonates with your trading as well. So if we look at the bullish scenario for gold, if we consider this to be a fake out, because we've tried to break through the level in which I consider to be quite extended, and now we're faking out from that level, possibly moving into potential stop locations to the upside. If we look at the smaller time frames, we're getting a hammer bar here. Rejection, rejection, rejection. So we could continue in this channel and gold could potentially move up to the top of this channel before continuation to the upside, or a breakout retest for continuation to the upside. So that's the bullish scenario in gold, albeit I think that's the least likely scenario. We could get an extended pullback on this daily chart before continuation, or obviously before a change in trend. Now, if we do get a breakout of this structure, then you could look for bullishness in gold. However, it is not the path of least resistance, but I wanted to give you that scenario in case you are a gold bull. Now, if we look at the bullish scenario for silver, with this 4-hour bar, and if this closes as a potential outside bullish engulfer, or OBE, ideally on a little bit of volume, this could prove some momentum for the buyers in silver. And certainly if we break above roughly around this area, it's not the cleanest of resistance zone, but it is there. And if we get a break and close above here, then you could look for potential a bigger corrective before continuation to the downside. Now, that's not out the realms because of how silver is on this daily chart. So we could have a pullback, putting a Fibonacci into it here from the impulse to the end of the move. We could get a pullback roughly around that 38.2 to 61.8 level. Now, that wouldn't change the downside bias. You'd have to have a break above this latest lower high for us to consider a Dow theory change in direction. But because of this movement on the daily chart, there is a scenario where silver pulls back to roughly around that 38.2 to 60 before continuation to the downside. So to sum up, I do think gold and silver look pretty bearish. There is a bullish scenario which I think is least likely, but keeping an eye on those shorter time frames may give you an indication of what it wants to do. But I do think that looking for catalysts for trend continuation to the downside in silver and gold is your best chance, putting the odds in your favor for a profitable trade. Thanks, guys, and if you did enjoy that, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're interested in more gold and silver analysis, A1 Trading have a Telegram, and the link for that is in the description below. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next week. Trade safe.